So I'm Carolina. So I have followed you for a long time on TikTok. I think you're the bee's knees. And I've referred my clients to you for years. So like I was like, I love what you're about. I love like I've watched your lives. I think that you're doing like amazing work in the world. Like I wish there was more humans like you.
Wow, that's so nice. I wish I had that on the recording. I could
Well,
just
we
play
do,
that
it
every
is
morning when
recording
I
right
wake up.
now.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I I had admired your work and what you stand for such a long time, and you're what, like, the industry should be like, is of service, of, like, not gatekeeping and trying to make it accessible, and you've done so many cool things like the app, and I've been on your website, and you do calls, and you offer so much to the masses that are I mean, you do so much on a live for free, and I was just, like, huge fan of yours. So, thank you. I'm just gonna dive right in.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, I
Thank
really appreciate it. It's like I just feel like women have gotten shafted since the beginning of time, and
right?
they literally are the future of the species. It's a complete gaslighting, and it's getting worse instead of better. And it's like women have no idea how their bodies work. Not, and it's not that's not a blame game. It's not like they didn't read the book and now they don't know. It's like I feel like almost our medical system intentionally gatekeeps how your body works, and so I'm just really motivated to try to like see what happens in society when women have full access to all of their power. And that first has to come through their health, right? Because if you're tired, if you have bad hormones, if you can't get pregnant and you're freaking out about that, you keep losing babies, you're not able to call up your most powerful self. Well, what would happen if every woman, if we got rid of all of that for them and then they entered the ring? I want to see what happens then.
They
That's
would
what's most inspiring to
operate so differently. 100%. So with all of I drank that Kool-Aid. I'm all about that because for me so I'm a womb healer and I do Reiki for womb healing. And my dad died in 2014, got
me.
married, and then couldn't conceive for 17 months. But there was technically there was nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
But I was sad. I was incredibly heartbroken, and I had never suffered a loss like that before. And it was recommended to me to get Reiki. I got it the next week. And then we were pregnant with my son who's now 9. So,
Mm,
literally, for me, it's about safety. But
yeah.
really, what I didn't know for years was, like, I'm really a geek for human design, so I'm a human design projector. I learned Reiki in my postpartum as a way to heal myself
Yeah.
and then to be of service to others. Like, I was like, "Other women postpartum need to know th they can heal alongside their newborn, da, 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 da." But for me, it was emotional safety was the pattern I was seeing in myself, in all of my own womb trauma, and then also in other women that I did Reiki on when I practiced in person. But I really didn't understand, this is all the way back in 2017, so I was doing Reiki before it was cool. I'm 42, so I'm an elder millennial, and it was nervous system right is nervous system support. Like, I didn't know that emotional safety I didn't understand the nervous system at all. I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I didn't know what I was seeking. Emotional safety was the basis of everything that you would need to rise up as a woman to be fully embodied. Or, like, I just didn't understand that, and the time that it was nervous system. And, like, nervous system, I've like, people talk about stress with fertility. I've heard you talk about this on your TikTok lives, and I was like, "That's me. I can help you with."
It's true. And I mean, I think that I got really into like human design too. I got really into placebo a couple of years ago and started really like I read this study that was just so fascinating that they took these numbers are not the exact reflection of the study. I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but they took like 100 people and I don't know how they got this through the IRB. It was a well-published study. But anyways, it was on pain and placebo. And so what they did is they sat people down in front of computer screens and they said, we're going to sit you in front of the screen for like 15 minutes or whatever. And we're going to put a thing on your finger that's going to shock you. And we're going to show you the screen is going to turn green. And when you see green, nothing's going to happen. And there'll be a pause. And then you'll see red. And when you see red, there'll be a little shock. And progressively, the shocks are going to get stronger. And so they did 3 sections of 5 minutes. So first, they did, and then they measured the person's pain response, like chemical pain response to the thing. And so after they did 3 sections, red, they came back and they said, "How was it?" And they're like, "Well, at first I thought it was gonna be really rough because green was fine and red was really bad. In the middle, it seemed like the red wasn't quite as bad. And in the last one, they're like, "I think I got all green." And what they were able to demonstrate in 15 minutes, that in 15 short minutes, the brain started overriding the pain signal, which the red blink, the red light was the pain signal. And they were actually producing their own dopamine response. That's how fast their bodies were able to recalibrate. And
Wow.
I was like, we should be doing more work in placebo. Placebo works better than drugs. In many, many studies, the placebo outperforms the drug because our mind's ability to believe that it will work is so powerful. And so when you talk about nervous system reset, I also think about like we have the energetic body like in Reiki, but we also have literally what we're telling ourselves all day.
The stories.
Even like I don't even like to use the word infertility because it was like, well, I have infertility, I'm infertile, I have infertility, I have recurrent pregnancy loss, I have insufficient uterine lining, whatever, all these negative terms. I like to say I'm on a journey to motherhood. It's very different. Just feels
Right.
different. Or I hate when people say like, "Oh my gosh, cycle day 12, I'm out." I hate that. It feels so fine. You see, even you, like Carolina, you're like, "Ooh, I don't even wanna, like, say that," right? Because it's
No,
so,
I
like
don't even use the word infertility. I was rewriting my podcast intro and I recorded it last night, and it's becoming the mothers we want to be. Like,
yeah.
in the I very rarely use the word infertility. I'm like, your fertility journey. Like, for me, it's fertility journey. If you're conceiving now, you are on a spiritual journey. For me, it's
Yeah.
like the women that are conceiving now and you're struggling to conceive, it's like a spiritual awakening, is what I'm saying. It's like an upheaval of your life, a rebirth of who you are. Like, it's like, hello, you're like, it's the call from the universe of like what you're calling in is really powerful, but the changes you need to make to get there are some steps you need to do.
Yes. Yes, I love that. Beautiful.
Yeah. So, okay, so we just dived right in and I just kind of like hijacked my own podcast because I think you're the bee's knees. So,
It's
can
yours.
I it's ours. Can you tell us, Kirsten, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where people can find you? I like to get that up front because I think it's so important for people to get that up front. They're like, where can we get her? Because they can be looking at your stuff while they're listening to you.
Sure, sure. So you can find me at my website, conceivable.com, and you will see that the app is not there yet. We built it, we launched it, and then I wasn't happy with it because I didn't communicate in the app how to use the app well enough. So people were in there just
Uh-huh.
going, I'm just confused because it's not a tracker, right? We'll talk about it
Oh,
later, but I'll explain why. So you'll see the app in about 7 or 8 weeks. It'll be redone in like a bazillion times better. That's a medical term. But you can get personalized supplements there, which I really encourage you because it's way cheaper and all personalized for you. Also on TikTok, the Your Fertility Expert is best place to find me outside of that.
I highly recommend every single person to go follow her on TikTok and watch her lives. They are so educational, so full of value. I have watched them and I was like, I used to have a membership for years, and the women who like either couldn't afford IVF or had financial issues or just had complex things that nobody was figuring out, I was like, go find her because it
I'm
was
really good at that, the complex things.
so evident when a person listens to you on your lives that you know your stuff. And that one is that you're leading with your heart. And I feel like in the fertility space, I've heard countless stories of like women getting dismissed or being rushed into IVF, the steps before IVF not even considered, just fully discussed, or their bodies prepped for fertility treatments. And you're like, let's get your bodies right. Like what my takeaway was like, let's get your bodies right, get the healthiest it can be. So
Mm.
your egg quality is great, that your uterus, like, so it can stick. Like, also, just so many things to consider. And I'm like, wait a minute. And something you mentioned earlier that I also like learned from you is just like our cycles, you need care. 90 days is something you have mentioned in your lives, and probably, hopefully, I'm paraphrasing correctly, but it's like you have different protocols you follow for women. Can you talk more about your work and like your why? can you share that with us? Because I know, but I'm
Sure.
probably not gonna do it justice.
So, I was a linguist in my first career. I really love culture and language. And then I got really sick with MS and I was really, really sick. I couldn't walk without a cane. I slept like all day long and I was teaching at the University of Texas. And a friend of mine suggested I go to see an acupuncturist. And I was like, "Pff, that's like going to a psychic." Now I know some really good psychics. So if somebody
I
said, "You want to
am
go to this?"
one.
You are? I was like, this one psychic that I went to one time, just very short side note. I know this is a good audience for this. Literally, I was breaking up with my boyfriend who became ultimately my husband, and we were having a lot of problems, and we hadn't talked to each other in 6 weeks. And I was living at a friend's house. This is before the internet, so a long time ago. And our therapist suggested we call separate psychics. And I was like, "Oh my god, this person is full of shit." So we each call but this is the day where you guys are probably too young, but, like, this is when you used a phone, you called another state. She lived in Sedona. You paid every minute for your
Yes,
call,
they still
right?
have them.
So I didn't have a cell phone, so I went back to our house where my boyfriend was. This woman did not know anything about me. I pick up the phone. Her name was Leah Stinnett, if you can find her. She's really good. And she knew my name and my phone number. That's it. And she's like, "Oh, hi, Kirsten. How are you?" And I was like, "Oh, hi." And she's like, "So I guess we're calling. You're calling to talk about him." Now, of course, 50% of people are calling probably to talk about him, their dad, their son, their brother, whatever. So I wasn't that impressed with that. And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "It seems like you haven't seen each other for about 2 months now." And I was like, "There's no way she could know that," because I hadn't been home for 2 months. I was like, we were separated. And I had just come home to make this phone call. And I was like, "Yes." And then she goes, "Ooh, honey, I'm sorry." And I was like, "Because we haven't seen each other?" She goes, "No, I can see your man, and he is so stubborn." She's like, "I see him with his arms folded over his chest and his heels dug in." And this person is a donkey of a man. And I was like, "Oh, you guys have met each other?" And she said, "Look, this is not gonna be an easy journey with this man, but he is your soulmate. He will be connected to you for your entire life." And she said, "It's not gonna be until you kind of spit on his grave and like, 'I'm done. I hate you. I'm not doing anything,' that you're gonna get back together." And so I kept trying to spit on his grave metaphorically, I was like, "I hate you. You're useless," whatever. And then finally I met somebody else and I started going to Boston as music producer. So I was kind of like living high and cool, fly into Boston every weekend to see Tom and go to these, cool backstage music stuff, and it was really fun. And I came home, and at the same time, there's a parallel story makes this. I had stopped treating my thyroid with thyroid medication because I was trying to fix it with acupuncture. I had gained a little bit of weight. And so I come home from Boston, my ex is there, and he's like, "You are cheating on me." I'm like, "Bro, we are so broken up. We are so broken up." I spit on your grave, right? But I wasn't even thinking about it then. And I said, "You don't want to be with me, so I'm going to go be with somebody who wants to be with me." That morning, I went to the doctor and the doctor said, "Your TSH is 157. That is like over 5, you're gonna have a very high heart." He's like, "It is impossible for you to get pregnant in the next 6 months." I go home, my ex comes over with a 30-page letter to my father. My dad was dead, but he just like because he couldn't say it to me, so he's like, "I have not done your daughter right. Your daughter's amazing. I'm a fuck up. I'm gonna make it right, whatever." I fall in love with him. We have sex, and that kid is 22 years old now. Like,
Tom must have missed out on a great life with you.
huh?
I bet Tom was like,
It was really bad for Tom. But anyways, the point is that anyways, that's my psychic story that I could not tell because I
"No, I
really
love that." I'm just like, that is, like, the best story I've heard in such a long time. Like, and there's, like, you conceived and the psychic was right, and you were also living your life, like, you were actively living, and I want women to hear that, as you're conceiving and you're trying to conceive, don't stop living your life.
I hate the idea of like surviving, how to survive infertility. I hate that. I don't want anybody surviving. You have to like this. So again, I don't know. You probably know this guy, Carolina. Have you seen the guy who says he's channeling Bashar, this alien?
No.
He's so good. You will be so into it. Just look up Bashar on TikTok.
How do you
And the
spell
guy's
it?
like he Bashar, who is like a Palladian alien who this guy
Okay.
channels through. And they've done a lot of research on this guy. I know everybody's like, this guy, I thought she was a doctor. All she talks about is psychics and aliens, but this
No,
guy,
we'll
they've
get
done
into
all
it.
this research on this guy because when he says he's channeling this thing, they did MRIs on him and
Yeah?
his brain is completely different. And anyways, whether you think what he even says to you, he goes, "I don't care if you believe that I'm channeling Bashar. I don't need, that's not important to me. I think you will benefit from what I'm saying though. And if you just take it like that, you really will." He's kind of like in the vibe of Joe Dispenza, but it's actually a little more practical, which I really
Okay.
like. And
Me too.
a few of the things that he said that I thought were really useful for every person who's on any journey to becoming their best self is the first one is like, he's like, we're always trying to figure out how to believe that we're worthy. But how do you believe you're worthy when you don't believe that you're worthy? Because maybe you did bad things, or all of us, nobody, especially, I don't know a single woman on the planet who thinks she's worthy. I don't care if she's Mother Teresa. I bet if you ask Mother Teresa, are you worthy? She'd be like, no, I could do a little bit
No.
more, you know? But that lack of feeling worthiness blocks us from receiving our worthiness.
I am so glad you used the word receive. For me, is if you want to conceive, you need to be able to receive.
Yes, and that's
Yes.
where it's tied
In order
in.
to receive, you need to feel safe.
And you need to feel
That's
worthy to receive.
yes.
And what
I
he
feel
said,
like
go ahead.
there's 3 wounds that I have learned actually from this great woman, she's my mentor, Catherine Havey, she's on Instagram. There's 3 wounds, 3 root causes for any wound. It's a lack of safety, a lack of worthiness, and a lack of belonging or acceptance. Usually one of those 3 things are present is what I have found in any situation that you're looking or could be more than one, but
Mostly
100%,
all of them, right? I can even relate
right?
with all of those, you know?
Right? Not just for infertility, but just overall in healing. Keep going.
So he said, so the good thing to remember, whether you're religious or not religious or spiritual or whatever, he's like, he goes, you belong, you are worthy because you exist. The universe is infinitely wise. The universe and God or whatever you believe in does not make mistakes, which means you are worthy because you exist. That's it. And then he follows up later in the conversation talking about, well, I'm going to collapse 2 things. He was talking about people were saying, how do you become a better manifester? And we want to manifest, you know, our babies and all these things. And he is like, it's such a myth, becoming a better manifester. He goes, you are a perfect manifester right now. Your exact life has been manifested by you and your beliefs. Whatever you believe, the limits of your belief systems are what are creating your current reality.
I
If you
couldn't
don't
agree
like
more.
if you don't like your current reality, then you wanna start looking at, like, I must believe something that's inconsistent with what I want to believe. And he said, you know, even, like, I'm very type A, overachiever. I wanna heal all women, right? Very big aspirations, but I can get a lot of anxiety when I feel like I'm not delivering or I'm not doing a good job.
Uh-huh.
And that's this worthiness, right? Like, I haven't done enough. And what Bashar was saying, the guy who channels Bashar, I don't know what his name is, he was saying, he goes, what you have to remember is that every time you have those feelings that are inconsistent with how you want your life to feel, like he's like, what I encourage you to want to feel passion about every part of your life. And it's like when you have anxiety, you're actually sending a clear manifestation message of what you don't want, even though you're trying to say like, I don't want it, but you're putting your attention on it. Instead, get curious. So when you have that little pang, mine show up as like a little mini panic attack, just all of a sudden like, oh my God, what about that? You know? And so he's like, first of all, just take a breath in and feel it. Feel it all the way. Yeah, I feel really anxious about that. And on the out breath, think, what must I believe in order for that anxiety to be a reality? That I'm really not good enough? Do you actually believe that? No. That I'm really not worthy to have everything that the universe has for me? No, that can't be true. That I'm not working hard enough? That's not true. And then all of a sudden your heart just starts to melt. And he says, every time you do that, you move closer to your ideal state. He goes, it just takes unpeeling those thoughts and belief systems and feelings right in real time. And I'm telling you, it is very powerful. So,
We do that inside many of our programs of like, what is the story? What is the belief? Where did the belief come from? Do you believe that right now? Like, do you want to change it or do you want to keep it? Like doing a body check in, let's rewrite it. And then, but let's rewrite it so your nervous system will accept it. Like, "Oh, I want $1 million or I'm capable of making $1 million a month or whatever. Your nervous system's not going to believe it. What's a smaller jump? And then we jump, jump, jump in our realities until are where we want to be, like, changing our reality, also accept like, that's another thing about manifesting what you're saying is, like, feeling it and feeling the emotion, but also understanding, like, what you're 100% what you're describing is everything I believe, and it's, like,
mhm,
100% you're already I like to say you were born worthy. And
mhm.
I've had women argue with me about this, and I was like, "Envision this. Let's cast the vision. You just gave birth. You are in your golden hour. Your baby's on your chest. um, would you tell would you tell that tiny little baby that they weren't born worthy?
Even if they didn't have arms or legs, right?
Right.
Even no matter what was up, their face was all like,
I was like,
so
"How are
deformed.
you any different? You were
Yeah.
someone's baby. How are you any different?" And just born worthy, by your existence, you were born worthy. Rewriting, like, what you are worth, not that you have to earn it, not that you have to prove it, not that it's conditional, not by
It's not
doing.
transactional. It's definitely
Right.
that's a big one.
So it's so important. So I want us to dive deep into like your expertise because we haven't gotten to that part. So tell us essentially what you do and how you serve the world.
So I was one of the first board certified reproductive acupuncturists in North America. I spent 25-ish years in 3 clinics helping over 10,000 infertile women. We had an IVF center in our Austin clinic, so fully integrative medicine for almost 25 years. And then I read a study in 2015 that less than 3% of couples can afford fertility treatment. And to be
Wow.
honest, Carolina, I cried
It's
because
terrible.
I just
Yeah.
felt like a real dick because I was like, I used to be so proud of like, I helped 10,000 women and thinking like, that is really the shit. But the reality, what I got present to was the millions of women that I had left in the dust. And I know, like, yeah, you did your best, whatever, but it's just how I felt at the time. And so I was like, well, I'm going to do something about that because I don't want to get stuck with that feeling. And so I started thinking about how my goal was to build something, it ended up being technology that could be more effective than IVF at 1/1000th the cost of IVF. And I didn't know how to do it. And I took a year off of work. I just read all books, like just read books, whatever I was interested. I just read. I just needed mind expansion. I'd been seeing
Are
patients
you
for,
a projector too?
I don't know what that means.
What energy type art in human design are you?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to do that later. Keep going.
I'm the one that annoys everyone with a lot of ideas.
Keep
And so anyway, so then I started building a digital twin of myself. My goal was like, if Beyonce hired me to come and live with her for 1 year, how would I help her to get pregnant and stay pregnant and deliver a healthy baby? What's everything that I would do? Well, I would sit down with her and interview her, and then I would help her figure out, okay, what are all the real, tangible, underlying issues that are impacting her likelihood of getting in pregnancy? Then I would teach her, these are the things you can do to do it. Then I would have a clipboard and I'd be tracking everything she did and didn't do. And then the things she didn't do, I would try to understand why she isn't doing it, to understand, is that a behavioral problem or a clinical problem? For example, if I said, oh, Beyonce, you don't have cervical discharge. Beyonce, I hope you don't mind me using you, but I was just trying to think of a celebrity. I'm not saying she's infertile. Okay, so you don't have any cervical discharge, but actually you're super active and you don't drink enough water. So let's just start with something very simple. Let's start drinking more water and see next month what happens to your cervical discharge. Because if you don't have cervical discharge, you're going to have an egg quality issue, right? Either the estrogen's too low or there's too much heat and inflammation. And so then in a month, I see she's still really not drinking much more water. Conventionally, we get mad at people like, why aren't you drinking the water? Your eggs are going to be screwed and you're never going to do it. That doesn't help anyone, right? That's turns on the amygdala, the flight or fright, and now you're hurting your fertility. So with Curiosity Kai, that's me, Kirsten AI, Kai sends you a message, or, if it was with Beyonce in real life, hey, we talked before about working on your cervical discharge with drinking more water, but I still see you're stuck at like 4 cups of water a day. Help me understand, is this because you're not thirsty? That's a clinical issue. Or is it that you keep forgetting? That's a behavioral issue. So if she's not
which are very
thirsty,
different.
very different. If she's not thirsty, we need to figure out why. That's like a digestive symptom, like dampness in Chinese medicine, too much fluid retention, which makes you feel full, or food stagnation. All of that stuff is not good for your fertility. So then you're like, okay, we missed something. We need to go deeper. She's not thirsty. She's not just ignoring us. She just, I've had that where you're not thirsty, you're like, ugh, I don't even want to drink any water. You just don't want it. Or if it's behavioral, let's come up with a new strategy to help you remember. Let's get a special water cup. Let's set a reminder. I can send you a notification, all these things. And so basically what we did is we turned that into a piece of technology it's called Conceivable. It will be for all women age 7 to 90, but for right now, it's just for infertility. And you log in, you do an interview, we get information, we tell you what the underlying issues are, we give you your Conceivable score, a patented tool that predicts your likelihood of getting pregnant naturally. And then we explain everything. And it's not like you're not getting pregnant because your LH is 22 and your PGD is 14 and you have PCOS. That doesn't help anybody. That doesn't help fucking anybody. No, you have
Okay.
2 days of bleeding because you got a gut issue, you're not turning food into energy, and you're a vegan. With 2 days of bleeding, you're not going to make enough
You're a
lining.
vegan.
Well,
And you're a
because
vegan.
vegans take about 50% longer than non-vegans to get pregnant. So it's not that a vegan
Whoa.
isn't healthy. It's that it needs some modification and supplementation to make sure that they're
That is
getting everything that they
wild.
need. It's very hard to make blood without B12 and iron, and it's really hard, like, unless you eat so much chickpeas and lentils, it's hard to get enough iron just from food for optimal fertility. It doesn't mean that you can't have a period and all those things. People will send me notes all the time like, "Look, I would prefer actually to be a vegan, not I mean, philosophically, I don't like to kill things, catch and release, even roaches, but I like the way meat tastes, but I just don't digest it very well, and I gravitate towards more vegetables. Just
Right.
maybe it's 'cause I'm getting older too, like my digestion's not as robust, but the data is pretty clear. I mean, that and CrossFit is so bad for your fertility. Women who exercise to exhaustion are 50% less likely to get pregnant than those who don't. So this is so then we have, here's your issues. Okay, so maybe this person's issues, their energy is a 5 out of 10. That's the worst problem, the energy. And she only has 2 days of bleeding. She's got a 50-day cycle and her temperatures never get above 90. So complex presentation. If you can't make energy, you can't make blood, right? Energy is the cheapest thing to make from your food. So first you make the energy, and then whatever's left from that, you get to make blood. And whatever's left from that, you make hormones. In terms of, we need resources to make them. So then we give you a virtual care team. So you get a chef and a nutritionist and a therapist and a data scientist and a supplement formulator. And then you check in every day, tell us like how your energy has been, how your sleep was in the morning. We take your temperature, not yet, but soon, 6 months. You'll wake up in the morning and you'll just hold your phone up and it's going to do a face scan for 90 seconds. And then while it's doing that face scan, you're going to just give the update. Okay, last night, it looks like I slept about 7 hours. The quality was a 5 out of 10. My energy yesterday was low. It was about a 4. And what are you stressed about? And I'm really stressed because my mother-in-law is coming to stay with me. Doesn't have to be related to your fertility. So why it's doing that scan, it's capturing your temperature, your blood pressure, your body composition. So that means weight, BMI, fat composition, heart rate variability, which is incredibly important for us. And there was one more. Anyways, so then all that data, if you're using, we have a non-invasive glucose monitor and ring that can also capture all of those things, plus temperature and blood sugar. So between the face scan and the ring, we're getting blood sugar, blood pressure, HRV, VO2 max, sleep, like all these things. But
So
again,
many things.
the research is so clear that tracking doesn't do anything. Tracking your weight, tracking what you eat, tracking your period doesn't change the quality of your period, doesn't change your
It's data
ovulation.
collection is what it is.
It's just, and that's why I hate all fertility monitors and fertility trackers, because I think they're quite injurious to women. I say that every single day because every day I get hundreds sometimes of DMs of people sending me pictures of their trackers saying, "What does this mean? My PGD is 13.9. What does this mean? What do I do?" That's mean. So in our app, you can connect that data. We're never going to talk about one thing. We're going to say, okay, look, here's the deal. Your energy is still a 3 out of 10. I think it's because you're still only getting 6 hours of sleep, but I think that's because you're drinking coffee at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Can we talk about the coffee? You're right. Your heart rate variability
You're
is getting
pinpointing
lower.
it.
Huh?
You're pinpointing it when no one else can. You're offering
Pinpointing, not
women
only
and
pinpointing, but then prescribing what to do.
but that is life-changing because so many women go through infertility without any answers, or they do want to get they want the fix. So, like, a lot of women are like, "Just fix me," and I was like, "Okay," but you are offering, like, the what you just said, the coffee, like, in that scenario, in that hypothetical scenario. I think that that is so powerful because that is one of the most number one thing is, like, I don't get answers, I get dismissed, whatever. And here you're offering a real life, real time solution. Oh my gosh, this
And
is so cool.
it's gonna be so cool because once we get this one pushed and launched, okay, then what we'll roll out is the pregnancy app, because we're building a predictive analytics tool to predict adverse birth events using the data that we're collecting, so we can early on say this person has a high risk for an adverse birth event. Let's try to interfere and fix it before it becomes an adverse birth event.
Absolutely.
Maybe
You're
her,
preventing
because like,
trauma.
right, insurance companies really care about that because that's one of the single biggest expenses for them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That
So
that makes sense.
yeah, so we wanna do all of that, and so it'll be the thing that I'm actually most interested. So, I have 2 TikToks, one for fertility, but I have another one that's even bigger, like almost 300,000 young girls are there, about periods. And if I go live there, there will be no less than 5,000 girls asking me about, when's my first period gonna come? Where do I put a tampon? How do I talk to my mom about this? Like, they don't know anything and they're terrified. And so in the conceivable, we call it the experience. really, it's the first operating system for women's health, if you ask me. In the 7 to first period category, we'll be building technology to because they wanna know when's their first period gonna come and how can I make it come faster? And I was like, "Well, this is good. As a mother, I know how to manipulate little girls because if they want their period to come faster, what I said, your period is a reflection of how you care for your body, the kind of food you put into it, how well you hydrate it, how well you rested at night, how well you have and how well you manage your stress and anxiety, and how much you move. And those things come together to either make a healthy hormonal body or an unhealthy hormone, and you have control of that now. So in that experience, we'll be having them track that, and then we'll train the hell out of them on period positivity, body
Very
positivity, and like
positivity.
things like safety from human trafficking, things that I wish that every girl knew, and even just like empowerment stuff so that as they come into their
Yeah.
period, I want to change the narrative. I don't know if you've ever heard the essay written by Gloria Steinem, If Men Could Menstruate. She said,
No.
oh, it is a
Tell me
must
more.
read. Just look it up and you can read it, but I'll tell you the highlights. Basically, what she says is if men could menstruate, having a period would be the coolest thing that ever existed. If men had periods, men would make us feel bad because we don't have periods. If men had periods, men would have t-shirts that say, fuck yeah, I'm on the rack. To make us to like be like, I'm better because I'm a menstruator, because they would realize that they were the future of the species and that they weren't putting up with any shit. Menstrual blood would be like gold because that's what it is.
Oh my god, I collect mine.
Nice. And how?
Okay, so I bought reusable I was in this priestess, mentorship for almost a
Uh-huh.
year. So, I bought reusable, pads, and then because I don't really like to insert any, like, cups or tampons or anything, so I got the reusable, pads, and then I put them in water, wring them out, collect the water, and I put it on my different houseplants, or I have a tree in my backyard, and I give it I say a prayer to, like, Mother Earth and thank her back.
I
It's
love
the what I was taught was collecting your menstrual blood changes it's the ultimate offering you can give of reciprocity to the earth, of
her.
supporting you and giving you life and everything that she gives us, and it is, like you said, gold, so it's, like, also changed my like, totally diminished and eliminated, like, the beliefs of, like, your period's dirty, oh,
Yeah.
your, blood's dirty, or anything like that, or it's gross. No, I got the cutest pads it's from a lady from Texas too. It's called pads, and she hands makes them they weren't cheap, but they were reimbursable by my HRA.
Wow.
So,
So it's
yeah,
conceivable.
I love that because for me is like anyway, yes, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, it's so gross, it's so weird." But really, is it? Or is it that you inherited beliefs that you were conditioned from probably a man who said it, that said our blood was dirty. But why? But why? But what about it is dirty? And it's made where I'm like, "Oh, yeah." It's so matter of fact in my house now. It's not like and my kid's like, "Oh, mom's giving her blood to the tree. Hi, tree." Like, it's just our norm, and yeah, my son's gonna grow up, and I hope whoever he marries or whoever is around him or whoever he's a partner with, like, they just know that, like, he's I love that you said period positive. Like, everything around our house is around my cycle. Oh, she 1 week before, I don't have, like, a bad luteal phase, but I do slow down, and I try not to work on my bleed. So, like, it's a
Mhm.
sacred experience for me. I call it my sacred bleed. Anyway, I
Yeah.
love my period. Oh.
You're gonna have to come and do a class for the conceivable community. Would you come and do a little, like,
Oh my
45.
gosh, yes. I would
That would
love
be
that.
great, and then we'll
I
record
love
it
that.
too and keep it in the library. That would be great because I think that's really I just couldn't agree with you more wholeheartedly. Again, it's like in my first book, Seeing Red, I wanted that book to be like a manifesto on periods, but what do you call it, publisher, Simon& and Schuster, was like, "We want it to be a period fix book," and I was like, "You can't really fix your period without knowing." Like, I don't know how to fix periods without interviewing people to figure out what the problem with their period
Right.
is. But so anyways, but I did a lot of research on, like, I read a stat when I was researching my book that I didn't know after 20 years of experience that 82% of women experience life-interrupting menstrual pain and PMS.
Yeah.
82%. Again, this comes back to if we unleash them from their periods, what will they turn out to be in society? When they fall in love with their periods, how powerful will they get? Will they put up with any of this shit that they're planning for us in Project 2026 or whatever this is? Like, none of
No.
that's gonna. possible.
They probably choose different partners too. Like, I have a lot of women who are trying to conceive, and I've had quite a few people, like, in our healing programs where they learn their self-worth or they learn that they are not the problem. And
Yeah.
it's sometimes their relationship or a family member, and they just don't put up with shit anymore. And that's when like, that's what is people like me, a lot of men don't like because 'cause I'm loud. I'm a cycle breaker, and I teach other women to break the cycle too, but it's just remembering of who you are.
Yeah. I mean, again, if you ever think about like, am I worthy? You're like, I'm the future of the species. Like, you are worthy because you just exist, but you have a superpower. You can make a human. You can make a human with
100%.
one extra cell. If you just get one extra, if you get one sperm, you can make a whole human. So to go back what you're saying about like women thinking that it's filthy, that's why I was going in my book. I was looking at like, where did this come from? Because I was a linguist, right? In my first career, I'm very interested in how language shapes culture. And so of course, there were like Chinese medicine texts from the Qing dynasty, thousands of years ago. But the first thing that I could find, and I'm not an anthropologist, it's like this is just my own research for my book, but that the first thing that I saw was in the book of Leviticus. It said, that thing is so vile. It's as vile as a menstruating woman or the devil. First thing ever written about women with menstruation. That, and then right after that, Aristotle, one of our greatest thinkers of all time, said, this is the second thing I found. Women are the inferior species because they menstruate. They are feeble and weak. The men contribute the seed and the women contribute the soil. The seed contains the spirit and the intellect. That was the prevailing medical theory about women and their health and periods for 17 centuries. 17 centuries.
Well, that explains the patriarchy, doesn't it?
It explains a lot. This was, of course, before the discovery of the ovum, but it doesn't matter. It is what I would describe as generational conditioning, that you are worthless, that you are filthy,
100%.
that you should be ashamed. And untangling that is going to take coming together. All of us. That's why one
Did
of the
you
reasons
say
I'm on this.
7,000 years?
Huh?
Did you say 7,000 years?
17 centuries. So 1,700 years.
Oh my gosh. I got a lot of
17
healing
centuries.
to
So it's
send
like
back to our
our
ancestors.
mothers, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, they were all inculcated with this message, ooh, you're
And so
disgusting.
hard too.
Get away from me. But I was like, why would they try to control us so much? And then one anthropologist said, it's because women control everything. First, we control sex because apart from raping us, you have to have permission to come inside of us, right? And so we control sex, how much sex you get. And in most houses, we control the money. And
True.
so
I do.
and we're witches, we're witches in that like we have very different strengths than men do.
We have intuition. Every woman has intuition.
Yeah, mega, like crazy intuition, and
Yeah.
so but we've been trained to not believe that intuition,
Oh,
that that's
yeah.
hysterical to have
Second
these
guess
things happen.
ourselves. Yeah. It's my favorite when to see the light go on in women when I give them different exercises that are very simple to do to like let's build evidence so you can start because your mind's going to need some evidence so that you can start to believe that you are a great decision maker, that your intuition is trustworthy. And they're like, I did it. I'm like, yes, of course you did. Iconic. Like you're epic. Like that's it. Like it's such an honor to see women like step into their power as they're healing because when you heal your womb, you heal the world around you. And for me, is that's what changes the family tree. I know I grew up in a trailer, food stamps, addicts and alcoholics,
Mhm.
and our life in our family and our family tree is completely different because I healed my womb.
Yeah,
And
you just stop the cycle.
stop the cycle, full stop. I wanna thank you so much for being here. I could talk to you forever. I feel like it's just an honor to have you here. You are the epitome of the guest we wanna have in 2026, so thank
Mhm.
you, and I'm just so grateful that you made the time and blessed us with your entire presence and your knowledge and expertise. We're going to link you in the show notes, and you already shared where everyone is can find you. But before we leave, can you give one piece of advice to a woman that wants to conceive this year or wants to get her fertility back on track? What is one piece of advice?
Well, first I would say like follow me on TikTok because if you follow me on TikTok, you're a fertility expert and you go to the link in my bio, you can join our community, which is free. and you can get access to my book and a bunch of classes and expert interviews. Like hopefully we'll have Carolina as one of our experts. So you can benefit from her wisdom because I only know my little wisdom and there's a whole bunch of other wisdom that I
Yeah.
want to really, aggregate and collaborate with. And the first thing though, the practical thing without doing any of that is go back to looking at your energy. That is, ask yourself this question very simply on a 1 to 10. What is my energy like if I did not have any caffeine or exercise for 2 days? On the third day, how would I feel? And like a 1 means you just barely get out of bed. A 10 is a lie. A 10 is like, "Yeah, I just want to organize the pantry and then I want to do this, I want to do that." That's actually adrenal deficiency where you like kind of flipped into like you're just in adrenal all day long. Ideally, you're around 8. If a 7 has good energy, gets tired sometimes, but does not need to nap, a 6, you really want to nap. 5, you are having a hard time getting through the day without a nap, and so on, just to kind of break it up. And if that's low, that's your place because to make humans, we need resources. We need to be able to make, conserve, and restore resources. And our mind can compromise our resources. Our digestion can compromise exercise. There's a lot of things. If you want to pop into the community, you can ask me directly all the questions that you want. Until the app is live, I am answering every question personally in the community because once the app is ready, the AI version of me can do most of that. But just really want to serve everybody up really good. And there's one other little thing that I really just, if people would do this, it'd mean the world to me. Supplements can be really effective, but supplements are actually quite dangerous for people who are trying to get pregnant because most of you are taking supplements that are not appropriate for fertility. Vitex, Geritol, pomegranate juice, Mucinex, none of those have any clinical data. And there's many more. Myo-inositol with D-chiro is not appropriate for people who are trying to get pregnant. Actually, all of those can actually hurt your fertility. Buying
Oh,
supplements at the grocery store will actually, if you're buying like cheap omegas at the grocery store, that's probably rancid because if it's cheap, it hasn't been refrigerated. And so taking rancid oils are going to hurt your fertility. And we used to have a full line of clinical grade supplements in the conceivable store, but sometimes I want you to take 5, 6, 7, 8 things. Like sometimes we have very complicated presentations. No supplements are for fertility. That's the other thing. If you see something that's like, hey, there's Kirsten's fertility formula, that's bullshit because every single one of you are not getting or staying pregnant for your own reasons. So I built an algorithm for you where you just take a 15-question quick quiz and then we make you individual daily supplement packs. Those
I wanna
packs
do
have,
this, and I don't wanna have
yes,
any more
they have up
babies.
to 8 different supplements in them. Highest quality you can buy. Think Thorne Metagenics. The whole pack is $109. So it used to cost our customers like $600 to get everything that we wanted them to take. I can give them more things that I couldn't even get close to in some of these, like expensive things like NMN, Reversatol, things that are really expensive, berberine. We can get all of those into your pack for $109. And to me, and it's in personal, individualized packs for daily packs. So you just put it in your mouth, no plastic, better for the environment, way better for you. And it's
It's kind of
actually
everything.
what you need. So I really need people's help because we have 8 weeks. And so I really want to at least get everybody starting to take their supplement packs now. We'll probably revise those packs as we see more once you're in the app and you're sharing more information, but you can get started now. Like, again, if you even if you just look at your pack and then go and try and buy it on Amazon, don't buy the cheapest ones. It won't work. Like cheap CoQ10 will do nothing. It has no bioactivity in it. And so it's really been my gift. Everywhere I am, I'm always looking at how can I take less margin and still keep the company open to help people make it more affordable. I hate the idea that people don't who aren't affluent and to afford $500 or $600 of supplements, you have to have a lot of extra money to afford that because
It's
they're
really
also
expensive.
they're doing
Yeah.
a lot of other things, and so that's why I really hate when I see things for fertility being really expensive or just anything around women's health. Like, to me, I think it's a fundamental right. I'm trusting that I can have millions of women using this product and benefiting from it, and we just take a tiny margin on it so that we can deliver it to you, ultra high quality, but at the same time, really convenient and the right stuff for you.
This is life-changing. This is exactly why I wanted to have you on the pod. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for coming, and for those who are listening, thank you so much for being here. I wanna remind you to join us in the Make a Baby community. It is free, it's on the school platform. We have monthly free healing circles, and we'd love to see you inside. Until next time, let the Reiki flow.